Ladies and gentlemen, we are now back for another installment of Influencer Radio right here on the Real 1100 AM. Thank y'all so much for joining me today. I am Kevin C. Pride. I'm your host. It has been it's been packed so much with so much going on here lately. I mean the Moms All In conference.
Somebody Atlanta
period.
Yeah,
okay.
It's been fire. City been on fire.
I had the opportunity today to sit down with Lou Gossett Jr. himself.
Oh,
we got a great interview coming to the Atlanta Business Journal. Oh yeah, big name, big names. But that interview is coming to the Atlanta Business Journal very, very soon. We should have that out for you guys in a couple of weeks. We got the Top 25 Atlantan special issue. The Atlanta Business Journal is coming out right up in a few more weeks. We working very hard to make sure that we get this out by the end of September. So definitely, I appreciate y'all for staying tuned in with us right here on the Real 1100 AM. Once again, I am nominated for the Rice Awards, the Founders Rising Star. So if you will please go and vote for Kevin C. Pride, Founders Rising Star, right here at the Rice Awards. So, you know, I was really thinking on my way over here today, what am I going to talk about? You know, in this first segment, you know, I was really,
like a real journalist.
You know what I'm saying? I was really just digging deep. So, you know, one thing that I have found in this day and age, and especially in YouTube where everybody is an expert, everybody know everything nowadays. But what I found is, and I listen to a lot of these new age speakers like Gary Vaynerchuk and Grant Cardone, and of course Tony Robbins and the legends. You know, I listen to a lot of these people, and what I found was a lot of people talk about how to get to the next level. Okay, everybody want to tell you how to get to the next level in your life, but I found that very few people tell you about what happened once you actually get on the next level.
Ooh,
so today, let's talk about being on the next level, because luckily, I ain't going to even say luckily because I tried to do this, but I have made it to the next level in life. You know, we at that point of success, and we at that point where folks start paying attention to you and that type of stuff. And don't get me wrong, it feels wonderful. But there's a whole lot of stuff that didn't nobody ever tell me about, okay? Didn't nobody tell me my friends was going to start tripping on me. Didn't nobody tell me folks was going to start talking about me behind my back and saying things that just really was not true, you know? So a lot of times we ask for things in life, okay? And a lot of times I think we don't really understand all the stuff that comes with it. I work 24/7. I literally put in 18, 19-hour days every day. I didn't even stop on Sunday this week, okay? And I think a lot of times, you know, we all want this success in life, and we all want to get to this level. And trust me, once you get here, it's got its advantages. It does, because now people know who I am, they know my name, and all this type of stuff, and it's great. But there's a whole nother side to it, because what I found in life, when God gives you a blessing, it also a lot of times comes with some negativity, okay? So a lot of times you get the blessing, but it's also a curse in that blessing. I don't even want to call it a curse, but I do want to say that, you know, a lot of times y'all see a lot of good stuff out there, but a lot of times you don't see the other side of it, because it is difficult to keep going and keep pushing. And what I found is success is a lot more scary than failure is. Okay, because a lot of times we coming off the Moms All In conference, everybody talking about what a great job Kevin C. Pride did and all this type of stuff, but it's a scary feeling. Can I really get out here and do it again? Can I top myself next time? Can I top myself today? You know? So, you know, success a lot of times is a lot more scary than what failure is. And what I want to tell y'all, for all y'all that's pushing to get to the next level, and for y'all that's on the next level, number one, I got y'all's back, and I'm right here with y'all. And the other side of, when you are praying for the success, and when you are out here working and working very hard, understand this: it does not get easier. It gets harder. okay, it gets much harder. And a lot of times when you start to get to those situations where you feel all this frustration and you starting to get to a point where this thing is starting to fall through and you're having problems at home, you're having problems at work, you're having problems in your business relationships and this type of stuff, that is that breaking point. This is when you really are about to achieve something great. And this is really when you're about to go to that next level, because what happens is you need to be prepared for what happens on the next level. You need to be prepared for a lot of things that's going to come at you. And the only way God or life, whatever you choose to believe in, can kind of prepare you for those type of things is to put you through some painful situations. So you can start to understand, all right, this is the person I'm going to have to be if I want to be a millionaire. This is the person I'm going to have to be if I want to be a billionaire. And these are the type of things that I'm going to have to deal with on this level. Now, I appreciate everybody that came out and supported us at the Moms All In Conference. We had a great time this weekend with some great speakers. Mark Parham, Rashard Ritchie, Martina Edwards, Michelle Glover, Michelle Taylor Willis. I mean, we had an excellent time out there at the GICC, and we got a whole lot more going on. The Rice Awards is coming up very, very soon. It is September 28th, and voting ends September 23rd. So I appreciate everybody that's out there been pushing for me, but we got about one more week to go. So in case you didn't know, because trust me, I have been horrible at telling people this, vote every day. So please keep voting every day. I am so honored. I am so blessed. I feel so great about, all the support that I have received and all the people that have been supporting me and just really backing me and pushing me to go further and further and further. We got a great show today. We got some great guests coming up, and I really don't want to steal too much time from them. So we're going to take a quick commercial break, and then when I come back, we're going to be sitting down with two very, very powerful men with some great knowledge that's got some great stuff to talk to y'all about. Hold on, hang on through the commercial break, and we will be right back with some great, great topics for discussion today, all right? All right, give us a second. We are live right here on the Real 1100 AM. You are with the #1 business show right here on the Real 1100 AM. I'm your host, Kevin C. Pride, and right now I am sitting down with two great men, and we fixing to have a great discussion about money and entrepreneurship. Dr. Paul Crum and Dr. Don Wells. Thank y'all so much for joining me today.
Glad to be here, Kevin. Yeah. Pleasure.
Now, we are so glad to have y'all here today. And I want all the business advice I can get. I need to know how I can become a millionaire like next week.
Me too. I'm taking note. Hold on. Let me get my notepad.
I know, right? But no, Dr. Crum, you recently wrote a book, God the Entrepreneur, and I really want to talk to you about that today.
Sure, be glad to.
Now tell us about this, God the Entrepreneur. And I know me and you just sat down. We did a great interview for the Atlanta Business Journal, and that'll be coming out tomorrow, actually. Wonderful. So we will be dropping this great interview. But tell my listeners here a little bit about the book, God the Entrepreneur.
Well, God the Entrepreneur was written after studying it for many years from my past business experience and also in being in ministry. And I saw a common language even in the Bible. So many things originate there anyway, if we'll just be willing to dig them out. But it also explains the fact that God's an entrepreneur in that he has a dream, he has a vision, and his vision is simple, that we love him and love each other, if you want to make it real simple. He wants a family. But if you study it biblically, you see that it's a progressive plan that he had from the beginning, and that plan was based upon having that family and how he could bring it about. So he's very tactical, he's very strategic. If you study it out or read the book, you'll see that it's built into 3 sections.
Okay.
P1, P2, P3. Now, when I was in business, in the investment banking business some years ago, and I did my graduate work in what we call organizational development, or how to communicate.
Okay.
And so I was an entrepreneur and had many ventures. Some failed, but most of them made it. So when you want to know how to become a millionaire in a week, I can tell you, you got you can fail is the way you learn. That's a big learning curve. But anyway, I did study, and we were an investment banking firm, so you worked with entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Lots of them every day. And so I took what I learned from there and then what I took it biblically and extracted it, and I saw there was a common way that God presented his plan.
Okay.
P1 is the vision, the dream, as I explained. P2 is the process of the platform that you must set in place in order to be able to build your organizations. Now, entrepreneurs like organizations.
Yes.
They are organizational people. Small business owners don't think as much about how to build an organization as an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are all about growth. They're not about control. They're actually how big can we grow it and how fast. And then so once you get the right design, the right systems, the right platform, then you get people involved in the process.
Wow.
That's third P, people. Perspective, process, and people combined. When you get them all properly aligned, then you get convergence or the extension beyond the norm or tipping point. So anyway, that's why I wrote the book. I could see the commonalities and I could say, wow, we could learn more of how God does it than we could from some of our professors, even.
Now let's back up a little bit and put this in perspective. You are the founder of Life Center Ministries.
Yes, my
Correct.
wife and I, yes.
Now, tell us a little bit about Life Center Ministries and the type of gospel that you guys preach.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin. And what we do, we started off as a ministry to prepare and train people who are Christians that want to grow and be leaders, but they also want to learn how to be what we call activated.
Okay.
Everything we do in the way of getting them activated. By that, I mean, somebody said, well, what is activate? Well, most of the church is built on teaching.
Wow.
You teach and you teach, and now we take the teaching and we say, okay, now that we've taught that, whether it's in the gifts or what, and then we teach it. Then we train you, which means you watch me do it. And then once you watch me, I'll watch you.
Wow.
And then once we've seen that and I know you're ready, we release you and activate you, and then you go into a mentoring program that continues to get you ready. A lot of people, I don't know about your listeners, but there's in the Bible what they call the fivefold ministry, which is in the book of Ephesians, a prophet, apostle, prophet, evangelist, pastor, teacher.
Okay.
And we teach that as our model. And so we believe that the prophetic is really a way that people can learn to know that they can hear God, that he still speaks.
Wow.
And that you can hear him, but we teach people how to do it. We teach them, train them, and activate them.
That is wonderful. Wow. Now, Don?
Wow. All right, yeah. Glad to be here.
Now, you're the successor to Life Center Ministries, correct?
Well, I'm undertaking a lot of them right now, which we're trying to do that organic and make sure everything fits. But I've started, of course, with God the Entrepreneur, and coming out of I pastored for many years, and then being in the investment advisory world, it was a great fit. And so I have a very similar background to Dr. Crum's. Not as successful as he was, but
you've been pretty successful. I read about you.
Certainly, well, some, as we say, you look good on paper sometimes. So,
okay.
But no, I did have a very successful career, was very fortunate in that way, and when we met, it was a very good fit to kind of bring these in and really help people who don't have access to investments. That world is so difficult and challenging many times if you don't have a large amount of wealth. So for the person that's really trying to build wealth and figure out how can I start somewhere is where we try to meet them at, Kevin. That's really what my heart and passion is the person that doesn't have access to that. How do I, if I can only do $25 or $50 or $100 a month, where's the best place to do that at? So that's one of the best ways to go at it for us. So
wow,
we're really trying to meet people where they're at and help them in that direction.
Now, just to let my listeners know, because I try to tell them we only sit down with the most top-notch people. Okay, you have managed billions of dollars.
Top-notch, that's right. Well, yes, I did. We were at $1.7 billion when we started. I started with an individual who was very, very successful, and it was a very good match. And we worked together. He was my mentor financially, and so I worked with him and helped build the company. And again, it was a good match of skill sets. And so we started around $300 million, and then we built it up to about $1.7 billion. And then I knew that was, for me, my time to kind of step into the next phase of life and begin to help people at a different level.
And you definitely are doing it, because some of the advice that you've given me is like, I went from no future to now I might be able to retire at some point before I die. Now, to get back to God the Entrepreneur, let's talk about the first P, perspective. Yep. The Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. How can you expound on that and tell us more so about the perspective?
Well, we talk about God as an entrepreneur, but God is a strategic planner. By that, I mean he has a place in mind in the end where he wants to end up. Now, the Bible's very clear in describing how we're going to end up eventually. And so his plan starts there of where we would be, and then it brings it back to the present.
Okay.
And so if that's his dream, now most people have a dream, something they want to accomplish.
That's true.
And usually that dream is discovered out of a need that they see or a situation in their life where they want to correct it or make a correction. And so when that comes into you, downloaded into that place of passion, into your soul, you got to do something about it. You feel I need to do something. And so out of that drive, you're able to define that dream. It may be most people, for example, their dream is to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do, but most of the time they don't.
And what I found is the more that the goal is money, the less chance that you got of succeeding. Because I remember when I first started out when I was a lot younger, it was just, I want to make the money, I want to make the money, I want to make the money. But I never could find success. I kept losing a lot of money, but I wasn't making it. But when I really switched and started to find that my true desire was more so helping people and really helping people get the type of visualization they need online and helping brand people and this type of thing. When I really just delved into that and really put myself all the way into that, then now I'm just starting to see all kinds of success. Yeah. But it's not about the money no more.
And Kevin, the thing is, when you're talking about the first P1, the perspective, a lot of times, somebody has a vision, they see something, but until they really define that perspective, it's hard to attack the problem. It's hard to get to where they're going. And so part of what we do when sitting down with them is what is it that you really want to do? What are you going after? If it's just money, that's going to be a pretty short runway.
Yes, it is.
And, what is your real passion in that? What is the perspective of this, the long-term perspective, which then, will help determine the right process.
Now, is the perspective more so the why, or is it the plan?
No, it is more the why, the purpose. Why do I do what I do? And the word definition for purpose is why.
Okay.
So, what is my purpose? What am I here to do? What am I to do? Let me give you a very practical example. Don here could, if most people would have said, Don, you're right at the place in your life where you can really get rewarded financially if you stay. But he knew in his heart that season was over, but he had never lost his vision for transformation of seeing people rise up and become better than they were. So that's a dream that he put on the shelf for a season.
Okay.
And we have to believe that God put it there for the season to be able to get financially rewarded, but the gift was always there. And I promise you that some of the same passion that he had when he was building a church is the same passion he carried to the business, because it was just in a different package. He still wanted to help people. He still wanted to see them reach their goals. He still wanted to work with them. And so it was transferable. But when money is your goal, you get distracted.
Okay.
And you look at other goals, and you look at other places. Oh, that looks too easy. I got to do that. And you can get way extended beyond your experience and your knowledge.
Yeah.
and people that are, as I say, there are a lot of good salesmen out there.
Oh yeah, it's like what I like to call shiny ball syndrome. It's like every little opportunity, I'm like, oh, let me go do that. Let me go do that.
Yeah.
And I've had some parts of my life like that, and I'm getting to the point where now I'm starting to learn. I need to focus on what I'm doing. I actually learned that from Don. It's time to really look at this is working for you. So it's time to focus on this and stop running around trying to do everything and really focus on what it is that you have to do.
Yeah, when you define that vision or that dream, as we'll call it, and when you define it, then you begin to define it and refine it after that into what it looks like. Where do I go to make it happen? You know the old expression, it takes 6 years to become an expert, but in 6 years you are an expert.
Yes.
So it takes a while to really learn a trade, a profession, or an opportunity. And listen, I've been involved with about everything you can imagine.
I know. Now, a lot of you're such a humble man, and a lot of times you don't really talk about all the stuff that you've done. You actually wrote the first financial planner certification program.
There was a lack of a drought of people in that bit. But to me, when I went into stockbrokering and then I saw financial planning or how we could get to people to plan their future, it just made sense. I mean, Why wouldn't we just sit down and define your goals and explaining to people in the early years what financial planning was or wealth management? There was no such thing.
Yeah.
You had, different people that you looked to, insurance, lawyers, CPAs, stockbrokers, but they were all independent.
Okay.
So financial planning made sense. So I sat down and started doing it, and then we needed some way to identify it. So we started the certified financial planning certification, and somebody had to write the curriculum. So since I was going to have to pass it, I wrote it.
And I can tell you made it very hard because many years later I came through and had to take it. And it's tough.
It got much tougher, Don, as time went on, no question.
Now, let's talk about the second P.
Yes.
Now, the second P is people or process? Process.
Yeah.
Get the process right. Tell us about getting the process right.
Well, like I say, everybody needs a container. Let's call it that, a platform. It's called context.
Okay.
On a table like this, you have everything that you need to do business on a table. That's called the context.
Okay.
What you put on the table is called content, right? It'd be like a billiard table. You got cue balls and balls on the table, but you got to have a pool table to play the game.
Okay.
So you're defining the platform or the business, what it looks like that you're going to put the content on the table. And then that is able in terms of people, resources. What kind of people do I need? And then the question becomes, well, who's the first person you need to hire?
Okay.
Now, let me tell you this. Entrepreneurs usually hire family.
Yes. That's your first starting point.
Friends, or somebody that's down and out.
Yes.
So, rather than picking the best prospect for the table. I mean, for what it is. So when you define what it is that needs to be done, then you can find the best person to do that. But most people they will just start hiring people and make the job fit them.
Wow.
But you got to describe that job. And so that's where your job description comes in.
Yes.
That's where your goals are set. What are your financial goals? What are your operational goals? And even marketing, which you're in. How do we get from point A to point B? And how do we do that? Well, one of the things, I don't hire my cousin who knows how to turn on a computer.
One thing I found, and one of the most important things that I asked in the interview process, now that I've really started, I've gotten past the family people. I got past the friends. So now, but one of the biggest things that I've learned to ask people is, what is it that you really want to do in life? Do you really want to do this, and do you really want to do what we do, or are you just here because we paying a decent salary?
Right.
So, and I found when you can really start to connect people, that job description to what they really want to do and what they're passionate about, you get some amazing results.
Yeah. Yeah, you just get out of their way and let them do what they're there to do.
Oh, yeah.
Hiring quality people who really fit the model that you want can save you a great deal. You see, entrepreneurs, and we're talking about God the entrepreneur, but entrepreneurs not only hire family and friends, but their number one criteria is loyalty.
Okay.
Have you noticed that entrepreneur Trump, that he fires people so quickly?
Yes.
The minute he thinks they don't have his back.
Okay.
That is an entrepreneur, and that's why they hire family and friends.
And I gotta say, I'm guilty of that too.
Yeah.
I started to feel that way. And another thing that I found out, every time you hire somebody, you're creating competition for yourself.
Yeah, well, that's
because
true.
they come in and learn your process.
That's right.
They do.
That's right.
And so you have to find what they want to do and then help them accomplish what they want to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
But so the last P, if we can get this in right before the break, the last P is people.
Yes.
And I think we're starting to touch on that already.
Well, we did. You remember that a book that was very popular, Good to Great, was written by Jim Collins, and he surveyed these corporations that many of them were good, but what was the criteria for the ones that were really great? And so one of the things that you hear quoted so much out of that book is you get the right people on the bus and get the wrong people off the bus. That's
yes.
it, And that's what he meant, is selection of people starting with integrity and character.
Wow.
That's more important because, as you were saying, you're creating your own competition unless you hire people that truly have integrity. Yeah. Integrity, character, and then expertise.
Okay.
I'd rather have a good surgeon operate on me that had, good character than one that was just there to make the money,
Yeah.
But you get my point. But then you go to that part and then let people do what it is that they do. We try to control them too often, and most of the time we hold people back.
Yeah. I've seen that too, especially when I first started, when I went from, this being my full baby to starting to say, okay, I'm going to let some folks babysit. So, right. It was very antagonizing to start to, okay, they might not do it the way you did it, but as long as we get to the same result.
That's right.
That's
right. Yeah.
And you also find that people, that doesn't excuse accountability, of course.
Of course.
People have to have accountability. But people who know what it is that they do, their trade, their profession, they want to be held accountable because it makes them look better.
That's
it
true.
Makes them look good if
true.
you hold them accountable.
That's true. Now, we got to run to break real quick. But when we come back, you guys are doing some revolutionary things coming up inside the church world. So I definitely want to hit on some of that stuff that we got coming. So we're going to go to break real quick, and then we'll be right back. More with Dr. Crum and Dr. Wells. Thank y'all so much for listening and tuning in right here on the Real 1100 AM. If you missed any part of the first part, you can catch us on Apple, Google, Spotify, almost anywhere. Just look for the orange, type in Influencer 365 on your favorite podcast network. Look for the orange, and that's us. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are now back with the #1 rated business show right here on the Real 1100 AM. We are sitting here with my guests, Dr. Crum and Dr. Don Wells, and we're going to continue this discussion if that's all right with you guys.
Yeah,
sure.
Now, you guys are doing some revolutionary things in the kingdom.
Well, thank you, Kevin. I think we're doing some things that are very unique in the sense that, we as Dr. Crum mentioned, most of us are familiar with the model of going to church, hearing some teaching, be a good person, try to do good, all of which has relevancy in our life,
yes.
but it doesn't have the impact in today's world and culture.
That's true.
There's things that we need to understand and we need to know. And so investing is a big part of that because most of us have a hard time just living on our check. So how do I build wealth? How do I go about that? Especially in the early years when you have children and family and homes and cars and, sometimes school loans, where do I get a nickel to invest? And so one of the things that we do is and most people have the mentality that when I get money, that's the thing we deal with the most. Once I get on my feet and I get established and I start making money, then I'll invest. But I talk to those people every day. They're in their 50s, unfortunately, and they're still dealing with, I'm going to get there, but now I'm in my 50s. And so what we try to do is show them the power of compound interest and try to find some ways, how can we just start investing a little bit? It's a seed. It's a kernel of corn. If you hold it in your hand, it's the most it'll ever be.
Yes.
But when you put it in the ground and you scratch some dirt over it and you water it, that's the least it'll ever be. So we want to get money working for us. We want to use those principles. And when I sit down with people, I always tell people this: I don't care what your belief system is.
Okay.
Money is how you work out your belief system.
That's true.
We can follow your money regardless of what you claim, whether you're a Christian or it doesn't matter.
Okay.
So we follow your money. We find out what your real belief system is, and that's why people will talk to you about anything. As a pastor, they'll talk to you about anything before money.
Okay. Yes, that's true.
They'll confess everything on the table, but don't touch my money. Don't talk about that. So what we try to do is sit down with them in a very, very helpful way and just say, look, let's look at some things and try to figure out how we can start helping you to invest and getting investing. It's an intimidating field. It was designed that way. It's the special elite people that do it, and we're trying to just bring it down and help the person that doesn't have access to that or doesn't have a lot of money amassed. How can we get them investing? And so we've started at the Life Center kind of as our prototype because we want people to be investors. That's our passion. We want them to have something working. It's not enough for the old mentality, well, I'm good, I'm all set. Well, that doesn't do enough. There's plenty for everybody. So how do we share that? How do we share that
But
wealth?
that is such a revolutionary idea to have, this Christian community coming together and investing. Because I think, we get so much from church and we get so much from that whole community. But, that's not typically something that we look at as, hey, I can come here and get my finances right too. I think, and I think it only makes sense. Yeah. Really, because I can trust my pastor, so I should be able to trust you with my finances as well. And you guys are, the resumes speak for themselves.
Well, we've both been, and Dr. Crum has been a lot more in the beginning phases of this than I have, but we've both been exposed to a lot and investing and had some level of success that we know what it can do.
Okay.
And we also believe that it's for any person. It doesn't have to be for the wealthy person.
That's true.
Any person can start investing and change the direction and trajectory of their life by getting something working for them. And so most people are more comfortable at assigning their value to other people's money. That's how you know when you're dealing with people that don't understand money. That we love to talk about somebody else's money, Donald Trump's money. If I had that money, and that's usually the statement that you hear, people say, well, if I had their money, well, we don't want, you don't have their money. What we want to do is talk about your money and how we can get more efficient and better, and how can we invest. And let's learn some principles, because we grow up many times, all of us do, with what I call a poverty mentality.
That's true.
And poverty is indiscriminate. It doesn't assess your bankroll. It's not the lack of things in your life. It's the fear of letting go. That's what poverty is. I'm afraid to, I got it, so I hold on to it tighter. And you violate principles when you do that. And so we have to help people understand, listen, you may not have a lot, but by putting it in an investment, something that's sound and solid, you can have something that'll grow and is working for you. And that's what we want them to do, every person.
Now, explain to some of our listeners that's sitting in traffic right now about compound interest. How does that really work? Because we hear that statement all the time, and I know a lot of times people kind of equate this to like car loans, for instance.
Yeah.
You start out with 20% or, well, it's hard loan, but you start out with about 10% on 20 grand, and as you make those payments, then the overall starts to reduce. So how does compound interest actually start to work in my favor?
Well, it's literally the opposite. Albert Einstein, who understood algorithms and math probably better than any of us ever will, said compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world.
Wow.
It's hard to really explain the working of compound interest behind, especially from mathematically. But when you think about, you put money to work and it's growing for you. It's like it's like the corn I was talking about earlier is the best example. When you put money to work for you, it grows. It's compounding. So if you have $100 and it makes 10%, then that $100 and the $10 you made with it is now 110 is now growing. And so as it continues to do,
you're going to get 10% off that too.
Yes, and that'll now 110 and 10% or whatever that rate. There's no guarantee on the rate, but it has money. It has something working for you.
Wow.
And that's that's what most people don't understand. When we grow up in a culture that you spend.
Yes.
We try to make and help people transition. You're either a spender or you're an investor. Investors can spend, but they spend differently. And so, especially if we get a hold of young people and we can help them. I usually sit down people, Kevin, in their 20s and tell them, I guarantee I can make you a millionaire if you'll just listen to me. It's
Wow.
not hard. Really? Because it doesn't take very much for them, because compound interest has a lot more runway.
Okay.
It's designed to do the heavy lifting later in life if we start early enough, because it helps us to amass wealth and more than just what we can earn. The paycheck by itself is never enough. So
That's true.
when we
You always
invest
outlive it.
yes, and that's how most of us have learned. So if we can get a hold of them early enough and teach them just a little bit, $20, $25 a month, bump it to $50, $75. If you start in your 20s, you will have a very nice amount of wealth by the time you're in your 60s ready to retire.
Wow.
And so it's very hard to explain in the sense that it's there was an old, years ago, you may remember this, Dr. Crum, years ago, it was, would you rather have a $500,000 right now, Kevin, or a penny doubled every day for 30 days? Whew. Well, when you're kids, you're like, I'll take the 500,000 and walk away. I'm good. I'm set. But
take the pennies.
in reality, when you double a penny every day for 30 days, that's that magic of compound interest.
Okay.
You almost have $1 million.
Wow.
Well, the secret is it doesn't do anything in the first part of it. You're looking at it, it's boring. You say, well, I'm not making any money. It's the last little bit. But, there's an old story of a Chinese bamboo tree. When does it grow? It grows in the first 3 years of the Chinese bamboo, it grows 4 inches. In the 4th year, it grows 90 feet.
Yes.
But without the first 3 years, you can't get the 90 feet. That's compound interest. People put it in, they say, well, I'm not doing it. Just keep it there. Let it grow. And as it starts getting more traction over time, the longer you have, the better friend it is to you.
Now, how do you get people to be disciplined? Because I put in my money. It's been a couple of years. Now I'm looking at $20,000, $30,000. You know, how do you get people to stay disciplined and stay focused on that larger outcome?
Well, you have to have a long-term perspective. It is hard. Dr. Crum can tell you a lot more stories than I can about people that want to take that money and do, really bad things with it. Really bad things, like buy a car or pay off something. We're enamored with debt in our culture, and so they want to take that money and pay off debt. Well, what you've done is you've taken something that's making money and working for you, and you paid off debt. Now you don't have anything growing for you. Okay. Debt doesn't build wealth. It helps you if you have more to invest, but by itself paying off debt doesn't build wealth.
Wow.
So people pay off their debt, and then they usually go get more of it. So when you have something working, a 401k, an IRA, leave it in there. We tell people it's sacred. Don't touch it. Leave it in there. Don't take it out for your kids' education, to pay off your home, to pay off debt. Let it work, because compound interest is working for you.
Now, what about this age-old principle that a lot of folks have kind of bought into, that my home is my wealth?
Well, Bloomberg, we just talked about this on our videos that we do, that God the Entrepreneur videos that we did, that we're making available for people so that we can have this type of dialogue to avoid a lot of these common mistakes.
Okay.
And so Bloomberg did a study about a year ago, and it was a 10-year study that they did across America, good markets, bad markets, and they came back and said a home yields about a 2.2% return.
Yep.
So, in other words, it's not a real great investment. Now, that doesn't mean don't go out and sell your home, don't run, but it's not a great investment in your portfolio. People buy homes because we like to have them. They're our sanctuary. We build them, we paint them, we do. But it's not the greatest investment.
Okay.
So you get tax breaks with it. There's some things that are very valuable there. But we've always had this adage that, you're just with rent, you're doing nothing, and when you have a home, you're building this great wealth. That there's not as much of a difference as people would think. If you can buy a home and get into it and hold it long term, yes. But when you add in HOA, all the upkeep, the air conditioner going out, and the other things, over the long haul, it doesn't give you a very good return in your portfolio.
Liability.
Yeah. So,
wow.
So while there are some benefits, and we love owning home, we don't really consider that an income-producing asset in a portfolio.
Wow. Now, if I want to be able to read this book, God the Entrepreneur, how do we pick this book up?
Well, we have it. Glad you asked. But we have it on the website, godtheentrepreneur.com.
Yes.
And then, of course, you can get it through the normal resources,
Okay.
Yeah, Amazon, I believe, is carrying it
Amazon,
now, so you can go to
Okay.
Amazon and get it.
And what we'll do is for everybody that watches the video or either downloads the podcast to listen, what we'll do in that description, I'll make sure that the link to GodTheEntrepreneur.com is in there. So therefore, anybody that wants to purchase the book, they can just purchase it right away.
Well, that'll help them because I've owned some businesses and I consider myself an entrepreneur a little bit, but I still can't spell the word entrepreneur. So I have to put it in my browser because every time I try to go in there and just spell it, I can't get to the website.
I know. I said it so much I had to learn how to spell it.
Yeah, you have to really learn down it. Yeah, that'll be good to have the link in there.
Now, you were also talking about these videos. Tell them a little bit about the membership that you guys have right now and how they can connect with you on a regular basis and find out a lot more of these wealth principles and a lot more of this information.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So, the God the Entrepreneur website is designed as a resource center. That's our passion. We love getting with young entrepreneurs and helping them develop their business, their dream, their passion, putting these processes, because most entrepreneurs are not good at that. They need help. They have a vision, they're excited, but they need a process and how to hire people, and as we were talking about. And then when they're building wealth and doing these things, and as we're talking about investments, we realize that these things are never a one-time. You're not going to get everything you need from a radio program, a sit-down, a talk, a book. So we created the videos so that we can have a continual dialogue and teaching. They're designed for us just to have a very conversational time together. People write in and ask questions so we know that they're valid to what they're doing. So the videos are designed to be just a working knowledge that people can sign in, $9.99 a month. We've kept it very low cost, and they can get access to these videos on an ongoing basis. And as we're bringing in guests and talking to people and developing them ourselves, they have access to them so that they can continually be learning about finance, things to avoid, write in with questions that they have. We want to be a resource that and make it accessible for anybody to learn how to invest and learn about money.
That is so very powerful. So if you want to be able to read the book, God the Entrepreneur, and trust me, I have read it. It is a very powerful book. And if you are an entrepreneur, you definitely need to pick it up. You can go to GodTheEntrepreneur.com and purchase the book. And also you can get the information about the membership. Because I think staying connected to you guys and staying connected to this information, I think is very powerful. And I think if you do read the book, or even if you haven't read the book, I think the membership is a very powerful tool to have in your arsenal, so you can learn how to invest and start to build wealth.
Yeah.
Now, if we want to come to the Life Center and join you guys out there, when can they come to the Life Center, and how can they get more information about the Life Center?
Well, the best way, of course, is to go to the Life Center website.
Okay.
And it's called Life Center Ministries. And it has, as you will see, many, many different events going on. Workshops, conferences. We just finished a large conference a week ago,
Yes.
and it was very, I call it successful, in that a lot of people came and received something from it. And so that is the best way to know what's going on there. We actually have a church at 7:30 on Friday night, and that is more of a ministry type of a gathering.
Okay.
And then Sunday we start at 10:30 over in 2690 Mount Vernon Road in. We call it Atlanta. Technically, it's Sandy Springs or Dunwoody. It was Dunwoody, and then they kind of sliced us out and made us Sandy Springs. So, but we're there.
Well, thank y'all so much for joining us today and coming and spending this time with us and sharing all this valuable information to our listeners. We've got to go to a break, and we're coming back with the Atlanta Business Journal Hot Topics. But Dr. Crum, Dr. Wills, thank y'all so much for being here today. And you got to come back and share some more information with us.
Love to.
We would like that and appreciate you inviting us, Kevin. It's been nice to be with you and your listeners.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. You're listening to the #1 rated business show right here on the Real 1100 AM. This is Kevin C. Pride. We'll be right back with the Atlanta Business Journal Hot Topics. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now back with the #1 rated business show right here on the Real 1100 AM. I'm your host, Kevin C. Pride. That was a great interview. It really was. I think I hope everybody got some great knowledge from that, because I know I sure did. Today in Atlanta Business Journal news, Atlanta is among the top 10 most fun cities in the U.S. ranking. It says within those sections, the team examined 66 key metrics that range from fitness centers per capita to average open hours of breweries. Each metric was weighted and graded on a 100-point scale, with 100 being the greatest number in variety of fun. After assessing the data, Wallet Hub found Las Vegas, boo, was the most fun city with a total score of 72, but Atlanta ended up with a score of 53.95. So we are booming here in Atlanta. All right. Also, in our top stories today, Stacey Abrams helps launch Majority Rules Advocacy Initiative in Atlanta. She says when the system is broken, you take it over. Stacey Abrams helped a newly formed advocacy group launch a nationwide bus tour Sunday that aims to train and mobilize 2 million women to become political activists and organizers ahead of the 2020 election. The Georgia Democrat runner-up in the last year's gubernatorial election kicked off the new initiative by supermajority with a speech to hundreds in Atlanta who broke into applause when she recounted how she refused to concede to Governor Brian Kemp. She said, as women, we are taught there are certain rules we have to follow, she says, adding, we are taught that it's our responsibility to meekly accept the outcome and to trust the rules as they were written down. I don't. Also, Stacey Abrams will be featured in the top 25 most extraordinary Atlantans. She will be one of those people named on that list. We got a lot of great folks on that list, like Lou Gossett Jr., like Rashad Ritchie, like Nancy Flake Johnson, the president of the Urban League. So we got some very powerful names on that list, and we are so happy and so pleased and so proud to have her be a part of that with the Atlanta Business Journal. And I think she's right. I think a lot of times, women are taught that they just need to accept what has happened, and you just need to listen and follow directions. So I'm glad to see that she has mounted this fight to fight back and make sure that we got fair elections in 2020. My thing is not so much of I of course I want someone to win, but my thing is making sure that it's fair. And that, I think that's the biggest thing, and that's one thing that she has really been pushing for. Now, big local story. Kanye West brings Sunday service to Atlanta. Although the details were only finalized on Friday, word began leaking out almost immediately about the special guest during service Sunday at New Birth Missionary Baptist Church, and that's over there with Jamal Bryant. The influential rapper Kanye West brought his pop-up series of Sunday performances called Sunday Service, drawing members and celebrities alike to the mega church in Stonecrest led by senior pastor Jamal H. Bryant. Lines waiting outside New Birth began forming several hours before the service. West has been making such appearances on Sundays this year, including one in Dayton, Ohio, to help the community in the wake of the mass shooting, and on Easter Sunday to bring a message of faith to those attending the music festival Coachella. I don't know what's up with this. What Kanye doing?
Nah, he's doing like a little tour thing. He done become the new Kurt Franklin, man.
Wow.
Like and like if you go on his IG and
Okay.
he's got like the videos and stuff of the people up there singing. He has his own little choir. They're remixing old R&B songs from the 90s. They had a song called "A Soul Anchored," but it's to the rhythm and beat of "So Anxious" by Genuine.
Wow.
And every line in it is an actual like tidbit from a Bible verse.
Wow.
So he went through the Bible
Okay.
took verses out and made a song for. And that's Kanye. That's musically he's a genius. I mean, everything else is, but musically he's a genius.
That's very powerful because I noticed on social media, it was like everybody was posting these pictures of folks sitting in church, and like T.I. was sitting in the crowd, and I think
Killer Mike was there. Diddy was there because
Yeah.
Diddy just had his little weekend thing here.
He was over at the GICC, the Revolt thing. They had a huge
Revolt TV
conference.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it ended up being, I think, to be honest with you, it felt like a last minute potluck of hip hop culture. Like, because it was like no one knew anything about this until I started hearing rumors.
Okay.
Around Thursday night, and then I got the confirmation that Friday that it was going to happen. Unfortunately, I had to work. I would have been there. But, you know what I mean? But yeah, and you know what? My hat's off to Kanye. As long as it's genuine, man, go for it, bro.
Wow.
I don't know about everybody wearing the same outfit with that little lace stuff he be doing, but that's just Kanye being Kanye, I guess. I don't know. But You know, he seems to be genuine. He's doing his thing, and I'm all right with it. And you know, it seems to be a great distraction because remember he's supposed to be running for 2020 election.
Yeah,
I just want that back out there.
Seriously doubt that's going to go
he
down.
Said
but he didn't say a lot of stuff. So let's stay out of politics, Kanye. You can stay in the pulpit. Let's stay out of politics. Lord have mercy. It has been a great Motivation Monday right here on the Real 1100 AM. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. I am your host, Kevin C. Pride, and I am nominated for a Rice Award. We got one more week, and it's my last day on the radio before voting ends. So please go to thericeawards.com. Go under Founders Rising Star. Look for Kevin C. Pride. It's a lot of names there. Just look for mine. Look for Kevin C. Pride. And please vote for us. And let's do this thing for entrepreneurs everywhere. Stay tuned right here on the Real 1100 AM. I will be back next week with another great guest and another some more great topics from the Atlanta Business Journal. Thank y'all so much for joining us. If you're just now tuning in, you're late, first of all. But secondly, you can download the podcast. The podcast most time is available most time about Wednesday. So you can check out the podcast. We are everywhere. And also download the Real 1100 AM app. You can get it on the Google Play App Store, and you can also get it on the App Store with Apple. So make sure you stay tuned in to Real 1100 AM. This is Kevin C. Pride. This has been another installment of Influencer Radio. And follow me on social media. I am KC Pride. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank y'all so much. Oh, and LinkedIn. I keep forgetting LinkedIn. I keep telling everybody about LinkedIn, but I forget my own. So you can also follow me on, connect with me on LinkedIn, Kevin C. Pride. Thank y'all so much for joining me once again. This is Kevin C. Pride, another installment of Influencer Radio, and we are out.